Man, I ain't gonna lie. I've been holding a lot of shit in lately. Oh, man, I just had like a 3.5 hour cry.
What do I owe the? What do I owe the pleasure? What do I owe the pleasure? Since the last time we speak together, she washed your car for you. We washed your car. Shame in our hustle. When you got there getting into that wash, and you know that shit gonna be good, like she's goddamn this cold. Y'all better start buying this slippery soap, man. What's going on here?
The streets are buzzing, but no one could have predicted this. 50 Cent has just dropped some explosive tapes that have Rick Ross on edge, and this is far from your typical hip-hop drama. We've uncovered the inside scoop on how these leaked tapes, involving both Ross and Diddy, found their way online. Once you hear what's on them, you'll understand why Ross is ready to turn the entire industry on its head. The way 50 orchestrated this move, absolute chaos, and nothing short of legendary.
Just like New York, just like Mount Vernon, New York City, Mount Vernon, and Miami, all that is the same, bro. Nobody wants to be near him. Nobody wants to touch what he touched, be where he at. You understand? It's crazy, bro, how his fall from grace, which was never from grace. It's just like the devil just kicked him out of hell. Because he was never in nothing graceful or did anything graceful. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what you say about, okay, he did the music, he had the bad boy legacy and everything like that, man. But, you know, a few albums, a few people, you know, made to be famous, but they not here to tell their story. Black Rob, Biggie, Craig Mack. They not here to tell their story, bro. And now you got everybody telling his story.
Yeah, and I know 50, he did a recent interview with US Weekly saying that the reason why rappers are quiet about, you know, Diddy's situation is because they've been to his parties and they don't know what got caught on tape.
Bruh, those people who was caught at Diddy party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house.
Girl, listen to this. 50 Cent has been playing the longest, smartest game in hip-hop history. Remember back in 2009 when Rick Ross threw those Officer Ricky shots at him? Everyone thought it was just another rap beef. But 50? He had way bigger plans. While Ross was out here thinking he was winning the back and forth, 50 was silently working in the shadows, collecting receipts, building alliances, and biding his time. Every time Ross flexed about his Wingstop profits or showed off his car collection, 50 just watched and waited. He wasn't worried about responding to the petty shots. He was planning the ultimate takedown, and the way 50 plotted it, straight up genius. He waited for the perfect moment. When Ross was in the middle of promoting his new Checkers franchise and flaunting his latest business moves on social media, Ross thought he was untouchable, flexing for the world to see. That's when 50 knew it was time. The week before, 50 started teasing on Instagram with cryptic posts. Some people aren't who they claim to be, and tick, tick, tick. Time's running out. Then, without warning, on a random Tuesday afternoon, 50 dropped the tape. No build-up, no caption, just pure destruction. Within minutes, the whole industry was in chaos.
He had 250 tape recorders in that house that they took, that the feds found. So now with them finding all that and you being at a Diddy party, you know you may have done something that was caught on one of those tapes. You just better pray to God that they don't recognize you. Those people who know that they did something, no, they're not going to speak out. They're not going to say nothing. What part of the game is that? They are not going to come forward and tell on themselves. Nah, not at all. Ice Cube, he said it himself, bro. He said that Diddy's been targeted because of what he said about those folks and those people. Now, the people who was on those tapes may feel like Diddy might be targeting them. Because if he's asked about who is this, who is that, and he's under oath with the federal government, he got to tell them. He's not going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, I know that got to be a terrible feeling, man. You know you did something wrong at Diddy party, and you hoping and praying that it's not caught on tape.
But they don't think they did nothing wrong. That's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle, bro. I ask guys all the time, if two men lay down, how many homos get up? What you mean? I mean what I mean. It's what it is.
Reactions poured in instantly, sending the entire industry into a frenzy. Bigwigs called emergency meetings, PR teams scrambled to contain the fallout, and anyone who had ever worked with Rick Ross or Diddy suddenly went underground. This wasn't your average diss track or a few old DMs being exposed. This was on a completely different level. The meticulous planning behind 50 Cent's move was almost chilling. He hadn't been lurking, watching Ross climb to the top, just to pull the rug out from under him at the perfect moment. What made it even crazier? Ross had no idea it was coming. Word is, he was in a business meeting when his phone started blowing up. His team was desperately trying to get a hold of him, sending the leaked footage with messages like, "You need to see this." At first, Ross brushed it off, thinking it was another one of 50's jokes. But when he finally watched the tape, everything changed. And here's the kicker. If you thought that first tape was bad, word on the street is 50 has plenty more in his vault. He's been sitting on this dirt for years, patiently waiting for the right time to strike. The way 50 orchestrated this is like something out of a revenge thriller, with Ross unwittingly playing the lead role. The real question now, what else is 50 holding on to? If he waited 14 years to drop this bomb, the next one could be even bigger.
I'm confirming or I'm 100% factual, but it's somebody in this story of things that seems more reliable than others, Race, is what I'll say, just to protect my sources. But this source informed me of who these A-list celebrities are on these tapes that are being allegedly auctioned off online and through the networks. And it's put me in a little bit of a bind because I like to be fully transparent with the audience. I want to say things, but I also realize from what I'm told, because again, I haven't seen them directly yet. I haven't, and I don't know if I want to. Race, I want your advice on that too. But the problem I have is just like, typically I want to report these things, but I got to be careful legally, ethically, morally as to what we report on here. Because as Ariel, the lawyer here, did admit, and I can attest based on the information I got from a separate, reliable source, people in these videos don't know they're being videotaped. That's a big issue, Race, right? Let's start out right there. If there are people on these tapes that don't know that they were being filmed, is that okay to talk about and to share?
I have a big problem with that, as do you, Andy, and you tend to be an ethical guy and you're taking the high ground here. Notwithstanding the fact that you may have some significant information and reliable information, but the reality is that, look, I mean, if people were recorded non-consensually and you are the one to identify them, I think that's a problem, right? And I think anytime anyone has content, right, this is not an email, this is not a text message, this is video. And there's specific statutes without using specific language I don't want to get into, but everybody knows what we're talking about here.
It's Diddy with this person. I'll say that. It's Diddy with this person. Actually, yes.
Yeah, and see, the problem is, again, like, non-consensually recorded, you've got a victim here who may not want to be publicly identified. That's the problem. That's the problem. And they have a right to proceed if they want to, whether it's criminally or civilly, without being identified, because we know what's going to happen. As soon as they identify themselves, there's going to be a bunch of people that come out of the woodwork who are going to unequivocally harass them and claim that didn't happen, and they're making stuff up. And there's the victims that we want to protect here, and that's significant.
Well, it's interesting because here's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know a lot of you are like, Andy, just say it. No, I'm not going to say them, but I wanted to have this conversation as to why we're not saying it and why I think others haven't yet said it, Reese, because, again, legally, ethically, morally, it's just not right. Now, there's an argument I've had with people who are like, well, they knew what they were doing with Diddy. Like, these were consensual acts. Like, they knew, and he filmed other times, so I don't know what the big deal is. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out, is what I keep hearing from other reliable sources. It may come out, but it's not gonna come out via me. That's just to warn you all, because I don't think it's wise for us to put out something like you just confirmed it without the consent of the other person in the video. Because, again, from what I'm gathering based on some of these tapes, and again, we're still learning more, and I haven't seen them with my own eye.
Remember all those times Ross swore he never did business with certain people? Well, 50 Cent just flipped the script, and the receipts are damning. The leaked footage doesn't just expose Ross, it obliterates his denials. In crystal clear 4K, Ross is caught in situations he's vehemently denied for years, especially with Diddy. And no, we're not talking about harmless business meetings. The tapes show Ross at exclusive private parties, cozying up to people he publicly claimed to have never met. But that's not all. The most damaging part: audio clips of Ross discussing deals he insisted never happened. In one particularly incriminating clip, Ross openly brags about how he and Diddy orchestrated special arrangements with up-and-coming artists. The casual way he talks about it has people thinking this wasn't an isolated incident, it was a pattern. Industry insiders who've reviewed the footage are calling it career-ending material. It's the kind of exposure that could lead to Ross being blackballed from the music business entirely. What's really shaking everyone is how these tapes resurrect old rumors about Ross's early days in the industry. The same stories he's spent years denying now seem eerily plausible. The footage paints a whole new, unflattering picture of his rise to fame, one that's impossible to ignore.
That the government was so interested in Diddy's baby oil that they took 1,000 bottles away from his house. If the government took 1,000 bottles of baby oil and somebody had things what appeared to be baby oil, and then you have to listen to the prosecutor. He said that they seized 1,000 bottles what allegedly to be baby oil. Allegedly to be baby oil. So that's telling people that it wasn't baby oil. And people think that that was baby oil, they out their mind. I don't believe it was baby oil. Yo, bro, when they went up in there, they knew what they was gonna find. They knew what was ever in that baby oil or that those bottles that appeared to be baby oil, they knew about that at first. You gotta realize 9 times out of 10, that individual that got caught at the airport, that was supposed to be their carrier, told them what they was doing and what they had. I wouldn't put it past that he told them everything. So when they went up in there, they knew they had to take whatever was out there, and that thing that appeared to be baby oil, they took that. They got to test every last one of them. Let's see how much, let's see how many of those come back to be baby oil. Bro, listen to me. Costco don't sell that much baby oil. Where you know sell that much baby oil?
Yeah, I don't know any store that sell that much baby oil. I know Costco, they came out and said that they don't even sell baby oil.
My sentiments exactly.
But you personally, right, what do you believe was in the baby oil?
If you ever seen a massage parlor being raided and they walking out the people, do they take the massage oil with them when they go? No, they just walk out the people who are being arrested.
The industry is in chaos after 50 Cent's bombshell leaks. One executive, who chose to remain anonymous, described watching the tapes as witnessing someone's entire career implode. A source close to Ross's label revealed they had to call emergency meetings because no one knows how many more grenades 50 has up his sleeve. This isn't your typical rap beef with petty DMs or a diss track. These tapes make Ross and Diddy look undeniably shady, especially given the wave of allegations surrounding them lately. The timing couldn't be worse. Ross is focused on expanding his business empire with ventures like Wingstop franchises, a Checkers deal, and brand partnerships, while Diddy faces his own mounting controversies. But this kind of exposure makes corporate partners nervous. When brands see their names tied to scandals, they start rethinking contracts. The real nightmare for Ross is knowing 50 isn't done. Every denial Ross makes seems to trigger another release from 50's vault, each one more damaging than the last. It's as if 50 had cameras on Ross for years, patiently waiting for the right moment to unleash chaos. When Ross finally learned what's in the tapes, things escalated fast. Rumors are one thing, but seeing video evidence of everything he's tried to keep hidden, that's a game changer. Ross's reaction turned a bad situation into an all-out disaster.
Have you ever seen a person getting arrested and the people being arrested in those brothel houses? Do they take out the stuff in the brothel houses? No, they don't. They take the individuals who are being arrested out the brothel houses. For them to take 1,000 bottles of baby oil, it's like that they did not leave one. They left people there, but they ain't leave not one bottle. Nobody needed no baby oil. So my whole thing about it is that there was something in that other than baby oil. That's why they took all the bottles. And 9 times out of 10, if I would give it a wild guess, it was, and like some of the people told me, it was probably that GHB.
What's that?
I think it's gamma hydrox. I looked it up, bro. Let me see. See if I can find it. I know this is just showing everything like that, but oh no. Let me. Yo, somebody tap dance or sing or do something, you know what I'm saying, while I'm doing this. Oh, here it go right here. It's gamma hydroxy butyric. What is its effect on the body? It's a euphoria, drowsiness, decreased anxiety, and memory impairment. It works on the nervous system and gives you this feeling of euphoria. So they take that and rub it on it, and you forget who you are, what you're doing. It can also give you memory loss, drowsiness, and that's under the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration.gov.
When phones started buzzing at 2 a.m. with the latest notifications, no one was prepared for the chaos that followed. Ross wasn't just angry, he was in full meltdown mode, going scorched earth. PR veterans were texting each other, urging someone to step in before he destroyed everything. His first response hit Instagram like a bomb, a 15-minute rant filled with threats and accusations that sent his team into full-blown panic mode. He wasn't even trying to deny what was in the tapes anymore. He was straight up threatening 50's life. In the video, Ross paced back and forth, looking like he hadn't slept in days, leaving fans and industry insiders questioning whether he'd completely lost it. The fallout escalated quickly. Ross began sending voice messages to anyone who shared the leaked footage, threatening lawsuits, making wild accusations, and bringing up old secrets no one was supposed to know. His team tried desperately to contain the damage, but Ross was relentless. By 3 a.m., he was on Instagram Live, calling people out, exposing industry secrets, and making threats he couldn't take back. Then it got even messier. Ross began dropping addresses, not just 50's known locations, but places where his family stayed. That's when even Ross's inner circle started pulling away, distancing themselves from the chaos spiraling out of control.
Activities with other, A-listers having activities together is what this is. And again, that's a potentially outing of somebody as well. You know what I mean? There's so many things here that happen in releasing of this private consensual moment that while salaciously everybody wants to know, and people are messaging me all the time, Andy, who's what? And it's like, I'm not gonna say, because there seem to be way too many things that these people in the tapes, whether consensual, whether they, whatever, didn't agree to put out there. And I would think that's a legal issue too for anybody who puts these out first, no?
Yeah, you nailed it. You can't without the consent of the victim. That's the problem. Somebody thinks that somebody has no idea, right? You said, well, didn't they know they're being recorded? No. I mean, in these situations, the assumption is they did not know. And that's what we believe right now is the victims did not know that they were being recorded. If the victim comes out and says, okay, yes, I knew I was recorded, and a statement is provided, that's a different story. But of course, you don't know that. So you, Andy, probably can't be the one to break that ice and be like, well, this is what I heard and this is what I know, and so I'm going to say it. And there's all kinds of hairy legal issues on that, right? With privacy and intrusion on seclusion is what we call it. It's a privacy violation. There could be defamation implications. There could be criminal implications. So you're doing the right thing by treading carefully. And I think more people should do this rather than get into speculation. Now, if you see the videos, even still, right? If somebody takes...
Not to interrupt, but that's the question. Like, am I allowed to see these videos? Like, if I were to ask this source, show me the videos, do I put myself in worse legal jeopardy?
That's another distinct legal issue, right? It's like you're watching something that someone didn't know they were being recorded of doing, right? And so it's dicey. It's dicey. Now, it would be different if you were an attorney and somebody's coming to you for purposes of defense or prosecution of a claim, a civil claim, or the filing, of some action to recover damages. That's a little different. But for purposes of, hey, look what I got, juicy gossip, and there are reporting outlets that I won't mention that will do stuff like this. I don't know that it's the smartest thing to do. I don't know that it's the careful thing to do. That's for sure. Or it's the ethical or moral thing to do.
Yeah, it is exactly. I'm not a lawyer, but maybe this source will show you, and then you can verify what we know. But here's the other problem. Even if we verify what we know, like as I watched what Ariel, the lawyer, got these tapes, and even again, I don't want to get into the details, any remote details that could help explain or allude to even more of theories that are out there, or debunk or confirm. But I will say, hearing what I heard, which again isn't confirmation, but hearing what I heard, it makes me dislike what Ariel's doing even more, because I think there are going to be people out there, if this information does get out in some way, that are going to deny that these people are victims, that they're going to try to say, oh no, they're just consensually thing and they were hiding this affair and yada, yada, yada. And I don't see it that way personally. I mean, and granted, I haven't seen or know, like this isn't somebody involved from what I've gathered in these tapes of them, doing it to others in a way, criminally, like we've heard in some of these suits. This is just, it almost feels like, again, if it's real, like blackmail material that Diddy keeps to sort of hold over these people's heads. And to me, that's awful to the people in it, whether they agreed or knew or whatever. It still just feels like that's no one's freaking business. And maybe they were doing it for reasons we don't know. Just because we saw the tape doesn't mean they weren't feeling pressured in other ways, right? So it's a heavy and complicated thing, but it's not a hard decision to say, I can't run with trying to even allude to who these people are.
The desperate moves came fast and furious after that. Ross's team scrambled to get the leaked tapes taken down with copyright claims, but it was too late. -50 had already spread them everywhere. Panicked, Ross started offering huge amounts of money to anyone who could help him track down how 50 got the footage. The numbers he was throwing around, millions, had everyone's attention. By sunrise, Ross had already violated multiple Instagram policies, getting his account restricted 3 separate times. But instead of cooling off, he kept making new burner accounts, each one more reckless than the last. His lawyers were calling nonstop, his business partners were threatening to pull out of deals, and yet Ross wouldn't let up. The breaking point came when Ross started dragging other artists into the mess. He exposed who hadn't paid for verses, who was lying about their streaming numbers, and who had secret deals they didn't want public. It was like watching someone set their own house on fire just to burn down the whole neighborhood. That's when the industry began to divide. Some people, thrilled to see Ross exposed, sided with 50, adding their own stories to the chaos. Others tried to defend Ross, claiming 50 had gone too far. But Ross's erratic behavior, threatening families and airing everyone's dirty laundry, made it increasingly hard for anyone to back him. The lines were drawn, and the alliances that emerged were about to shake the industry to its core.